So you decided you were thinking of, you're at a point where you wanted to make some sort of transition or transaction within the business. Why did you choose to appoint an advisor rather than manage the process yourself?
I guess from my perspective, kind of leading the business, my background, I am a chartered accountant, so I have some understanding of the complexity of what was going to be involved. But actually, it's a specialism, it's a profession, in selling a business. And it requires a huge amount of experience to get the best outcome. And we didn't have that experience. And I think the second part is we've got a business to run. Now, we knew it was going to pull us in, whatever, but you need a third party who can come and help enable it for you so that we can also keep our eye on the business so it doesn't kind of fall over.
So in summary, I think it was too risky to try and do it, potentially foolish to try and do it without external advice.
We wouldn't have got the right outcome.
No. Because of course you had the opportunity. You had the opportunity to sell it without an advisor because you'd received numerous direct approaches.
Yeah. I mean, again, we had a lot of fortitude that when we decided. I think the other part, when we decided that it was the right time to seek what is part of an exit here, if you like, an external investment, but to also think, this is part or start of what could be an exit for us. The tide has started to turn in a very positive way for us. As I said, the stars kind of aligned on climate change. So as a consequence, we were being contacted with quite a frequency to say, we really like your business, are you interested in doing a deal? And that in itself, that's flattering, and very quickly you think, oh yeah, this could be good. But actually, why could it be good? What did it mean? Had we properly investigated? And I think very quickly you go from thinking, oh yeah, and you quickly get on the phone to Paul and Ed and we're all chatting and excited. Yeah. And then you start to think it's a bit of a reality gap to say, actually, well, why would they be better than someone else? Shouldn't we do a bit of a real considered job on this?
Okay. So how do you go about selecting your advisor?
From my perspective, we needed someone who was relational and being able to discuss, engage, and understanding that that's really important. I think the knowledge of the process kind of is obvious, but any advisor will kind of have that. So really selecting the right advisor for you is about finding people you can work with, people who are going to be able to support you and negotiate and engage and deal with those difficult questions with your prospective investors.
For me, also someone who's absolutely committed, and you can feel their passion that, this is not something we're just doing on the side, or we're saying, I've got loads of these jobs on, I hope this one, some of them will be successful, some won't. You want them to feel that actually it's all about you. Yeah. And that's what we felt. We felt this was all about us. And I think the other thing is that, it can be really complicated. The financial structuring can be really complicated. That's something I never even appreciated, especially we ended up doing a consortium, went with PE and went with other structures. And, having an advisor who has the intellect to pull together what is a hugely complex deal was probably one of the most important things in the end. Otherwise, we would not have got the outcomes that we wanted. That enabled us to get, to negotiate. If you can negotiate, you're just not negotiating on, I want this price or on that one, but you can start to negotiate on complex structural frameworks of how this deal is going to look and how you can negotiate with private equity who are equally going to be intellectually driven. If you don't have that intellectual interaction at the financial structuring level, you're not going to get a good outcome. And I think also, it's maybe a bit of a stereotype, it's this old good cop, bad cop. In the end, you're going to have to work with one of these people. Whoever ends up investing or buying you want a good relationship to come out of that. But if there's some really difficult conversations to be had, actually, it's better off having a really good advisor have those really blunt conversations that need to be had. And I'm not saying that's being rude, but sometimes you have to get right to the level of intentionality that it is blunt, otherwise things don't move or you don't get the right outcome. I think what had been helpful to us is that we had been contacted by a number of different types of organisations, from strategic corporates, major consultancies and private equity, and we'd had a chance to talk with these people and start to get a feel for, what they were seeking. But we'd also had corporate finance advisors contact us saying, "You look quite juicy.
Yes, yeah.
We'd like to help you."
Yeah.
So from that, I asked them a lot of questions, and that started to give us an indication of actually what could be useful. So I think it was really to say, who would best work with us? Are we looking for a Goldman Sachs to come in and help us? Or is that going to be, a slight overkill and not going to work for us? But ultimately, I think from my perspective, I wanted someone who I thought could really understand what we were trying to achieve, what outcome was important to us as the owners, and it wasn't just about money.
So how was it working with an advisor?
It was an interesting ride.
Yeah.
Because I think, as ever, you know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know. And I think, what was good was that, in the way we were given advice, it was kind of set out, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Let's be really clear. And that was really helpful. I think it is much more than just selling a house or selling a car. When you sell a business, there is a lot of complexity, or can be a lot of complexity, which is unforeseen. And again, ultimately, it's what you're trying to achieve. So if you've got certain criteria that you're trying to achieve and you want the best outcome, that inevitably can end up being more complex than you anticipate from when you start. And I think having an advisor who can take you and give you clarity on, those key steps along that project and where things may get complex and where we need to be involved, what they're going to do and what we're going to have to do was really important as well, because it does suck up a lot of time.
It does, yeah.
Not that I was expecting it, but it doesn't remove the fact that it's a lot of work, and you have to prepare and you have to spend a lot of time doing that work. So having an advisor doesn't remove that, but it does guide you through the process. So the advisor guides you through the process, and I think there were certain aspects, and we'll come on to this, there were certain aspects that were incredibly helpful, especially around negotiation and guiding us through that negotiation phase towards the end of the process, that we would have struggled without, or we wouldn't have achieved. We would have achieved a suboptimal result without that support.
Yeah, massively. We couldn't have done it. With a really good advisor, they take a huge amount of stress off you. It's really, that's like number one.
Yeah.
The amount of stress that can be involved, and you still feel it, you can't get away from that because it's so personal, but the burden of stress and responsibility in getting the deal done, structuring the deal, making sure the right conversations are being had, and especially when there's a number of players who you're still talking to and considering, there's a lot to be done, and I think it's a huge burden of responsibility and stress that's taken off you by an advisor.